Greetings, dear listeners. Welcome to No Man's Land. भारत अर्थात इंडिया राज्यों का एक संघ होगा. That is the first line of the Constitution of Bharat written in Hindi. Recently, there was a political quarrel over the name of our nation. It happened after a picture of the invite to the President's dinner for the leaders at G20 Summit wrote President of Bharat instead of President of India. Later during the summit, the Prime Minister sat behind a placard reading Bharat instead of India at the 18th G20 Summit in New Delhi that took place at the Bharat Mandapam. Normally, it would be a matter of pride and the focus would be more on the objectives of the summit and the achievements of the group under Bharat's leadership. It would simply be natural. There's nothing wrong in calling a country by its own name that the country collectively adopted, enacted, and gave itself. As someone who felt that the whole ordeal was completely gratuitous and politically motivated, and as one who faced its repercussions firsthand at workplace, I felt the need to talk about how the term Bharat originated and came to best represent our subcontinent as a whole. Bharat comes from the Sanskrit name Bharat. Bharat, according to ancient history, was the son of Queen Shakuntala and King Dushyant. He went on to succeed his father and ruled the expanse of the modern-day Indian subcontinent. He established the Bhartiya dynasty, which is significant in Hindu history. Under his rule and for posterity, this land came to be known as Bharatvarsh, and the dwellers of this land identified as Bhartiya. Moreover, the name found itself to be integrated with local cultures and became a geographical identity. In the ancient text of Srimad Bhagavad Gita, Sri Krishna refers to Arjun as Bharat, as it signifies that Arjun himself is a descendant of King Bharat. This Sri Krishna does while disillusioning Arjun about the realities of this material world, and like life, even death in the larger scope of things is temporary, and that he must not lament for either the dead or be happy about the ones alive. He tells him that he must overcome his emotions and stand to protect and fight for his cause, regardless of the relationship with the opponent. Shri Krishna also reminds Arjun of his strength as a warrior and that he must fulfill his dharma and fight. In the Srimad Bhagavad Gita, verse 7 of chapter 4, it reads, Yada yada hi dharmasya glanir bhavati bharata abhyutanam adharmasya tadatmanam srijanmayam, which translates to whenever there is a decline in righteousness and an increase in unrighteousness, O Arjun, the descendant of Bharat, at that time I manifest myself on earth. This further solidifies the existence of the name and identity of Bharat since time immemorial. With the shlok, Uttaram yat samudrasya dakshinam cha himadrabhi varsham yat bharat nam bharati yatra santati, the book 2, chapter 3 of Srimad Vishnu Puran explains that the land north to the southern ocean, which is the present-day Indian Ocean, and south to the Himalayas was called Bharat, and all the people that lived on this land were called Bharti. If we go into the etymology of the word Bharat, it comes from Bha, that means light with connotation to knowledge, and Rat, which basically means devotion towards. Therefore, that which is in perpetual pursuit of knowledge. This issue has not been raised for the first time though. There have been occasions when there were requests by the people of Bharat to name the country as such. However, it had never been politicized in the manner that we saw recently. Let us take you through the previous deliberations on the matter. Interestingly, Shantaram Nayak, a member of parliament from the Congress party in 2012, had presented a private member's bill in the Rajya Sabha to change India to Bharat in the constitution. He said, unlike India, Bharat has greater meaning than merely geographic borders. In 2014, a petition was filed in the Supreme Court of India by one Mr. Niranjan Bhatwal, a Maharashtra-based social activist seeking a declaration to name the country Bharat. In its response to the representation, the Home Ministry in February of 2015 told Sri Bhatwal's lawyer that the issues mentioned in his representation were deliberated extensively in the Constituent Assembly during the process of formation of Constitution of India. And accordingly, the clauses of Article 1 of the Constitution were adopted unanimously. Therefore, there is no change in the circumstances to consider any change in Article 1 of the Constitution of India. Let's go back in time to when the Constitution of Bharat was being framed, and how the proceedings of the Constituent Assembly deliberated through debates on Article 1 of the Constitution of India. Article 1 of the draft Constitution in 1948 initially said, India shall be a union of states. But when the discussion on the same was first taken up in November 1948, a few members of the committee demanded substitution of names Bharat, Bharatvarsh, Jambudweep, Hindustan for the word India in Article 1, Clause 1. A year later, on 17 September 1949, when the discussion on Article 1 was taken up again, Dr. Bhimrao Ambedkar, the head of the drafting committee, proposed that Clause 1 of Article 1 should read, India, that is Bharat, shall be a union of states. To this, other members poured in their suggestions for amendments. Several members of the Constituent Assembly welcomed the inclusion of Bharat in Article 1. Shri Seth Govind Das asserted that it is a matter of great pleasure that we are today naming our country as Bharat. Well, we fought the battle of freedom under the slogan of Bharat Mata Ki Jai. The suggestion was welcomed by many, including the likes of Shri Kala Venkat Rao and Shri Kamlapati Tripathi. Shri Kallur Subba Rao, who represented the Indian National Congress from the Madras constituency, also supported the inclusion of Bharat. He further proposed that Hindi should be renamed as Bharti. Shri H.V. Kamath moved an amendment to change the first clause to Bharat, or in English language, India shall be a union of states. He believed that the name Bharat would have preserved the prestige of this country, and it would have been more proper to use the words Bharat, that is India, in the resolution that had been presented. However, at the end of the debate, the assembly members accepted Dr. Ambedkar's proposal, and the English version of the constitution opens with the words, India, that is Bharat, is a union of states. Such debates highlight that the issue of national identity is not new and that it was never absent. It further proves that Bhartiyata is not a mere Hindu-centric concept, but rather pertains to all people who thrived in our motherland. Bhartiya identity pertains to reclaiming one's heritage that invaders trampled upon or tried to modify as they pleased and wished to serve their own motives. This happened when India was colonized by the British for over 2 centuries. Swatantra Veer Vinayak Damodar Savarkar recognized and made efforts to battle the colonial brainwashing in his speeches and writings during the Indian independence movement through his idea of Hindutva. Therefore, when at the G20 Summit we were represented by the placard of Bharat, it must make us feel proud with refreshed confidence and a sense of belonging. Such controversies only create ripples in the media and apprehensions in the minds of common people. There are always much more pertinent issues that actually impact our lives and development of the nation, which must be in focus. However, this only becomes a distraction to the detriment of our national interest. We must remember that even 1,000 years of countless attacks on our national fabric didn't impair our identity and unity. On the contrary, All external influence only got assimilated, synthesized, and syncretized through the years and created an amalgamation of diverse cultures. Works of Sant Kabir, Guru Nanak, and Sant Ravidas are examples of this. Look at the richness and strength of the cultural, social, and spiritual fabric of Bharat, that instead of losing itself to the tyranny of exploiters, the Bhartiya identity only got enriched with diversity, unlike many other societies and civilizations that lost themselves to tyranny and the test of time. Our identity through the Bhartiya spirit has only expanded its horizons, uniting people of diverse faiths and cultures while keeping their beliefs and rights intact under its protective veil. Therefore, the argument that the term Bharat is more Hindu is completely baseless. Bharat is not a mere word or a name. It is not a religious identity. It is with evidence and confidence that we say Bharat is a geographical, social, political, emotional, and a spiritual entity. We are not saying that India is not the right name of our nation or that it must be changed. All we are saying is whether you call it India or call it Bharat, we are referring to the same motherland we are grateful and blessed to be born in. We love our Bharat Mata, our Mother India. But we as a nation need to embrace our Bhartiya identity and subsequently reclaim it. Why do we need to do that? Simply because we have been through severe and several hundred years of incursions and attempts to undermine and destroy our Sanskriti. Thankfully, we haven't lost it yet, even though we might have forgotten and misunderstood it. We are not to be blamed for it, but we would definitely be responsible for not doing anything about it. Remember, even Sri Krishna has shown through the Srimad Bhagavad Gita the importance of knowing ourselves and having confidence in our abilities and ethos. It is only once we do it that we will truly be able to realize our strength. Even Lord Hanuman could only reach Lanka by flying across the ocean when he realized and recalled his true strength. Therefore, just as each individual must discover themselves and recognize their talents and purpose, we as the people of Bharat must reclaim our identity and spirit and make peace within ourselves. And just like an individual remains lost until self-discovery or discovery of their purpose, we will as a population only be able to truly realize our potential when we imbibe the spirit of Bharat. It is our collective duty to do so. We need to be comfortable in our own skin rather than undermining our ethos. The ethos that not only has the luminosity to enlighten the world and all its people with the immense knowledge it carries and nourishes, but also one that we must be proud of and be grateful to have received as a legacy. Like our Bhartiya education teaches us, it is our dharma to find out the truth and always strive to uphold the truth. This episode is a reminder for all of us to fulfill our duty as the citizens of India, as people of Bharat. Jai Hind. Thank you for listening. See you in the next one.